In the meantime, we began to pick up some other people. When we were a smaller firm, we built our own building up on 3rd and Juniper. And it was a real nice office building. That area was called Pill Hill at that time. Many doctors and many lawyers were moving out. So we built this nice building for 8 lawyers. We thought that's all we're ever gonna go. We couldn't conceive anything. We were from there from 1957 to 1962, and would beyond the 8 lawyers. In the meantime, Vince Whelan had joined us. Harvey Hyber had joined us. So we ran out of space. In the meantime, Home Federal built this building, and the Home Federal is a Fletcher project, and so they talked us into moving down. We came down here in 1962. Then we've been here. Or actually in 1963. In the meantime, in 1965, we merged with a firm. Jennings, Engstrand, and Hendrickson, which is a very fine firm out in La Mesa. They had a practice that supplemented ours, and we had one that supplemented theirs. For 3 or 4 years, we made a substantial amount of money. We were doing very well, but the problem was that their senior partners' idea of a partnership and ours just didn't jive. They felt that the senior partners should run the law firm, and they still feel that way. Paul Engstrand and Rick Henderson are very fine lawyers, but they just keep too tight a thumb on the firm, and we finally broke up on that. Joe Turner was with them originally, and he stayed with us. Meantime, we picked up John Netterblad and Jerry O'Neill in 1966, John Netterblad in 1967, Al Wiseman in 1970, Don Glazier 1970, Craig came in 1971, Steve Ruck in 1972, Tim in 1973, Merv Thompson in 1974. We hope that the firm has settled down now. As you all know, we're going to be moving within a couple of weeks. We may be on the street, I guess, for a week or so until they get the building occupied, but we're going to be moving. We look forward to having all of you with us, have the same type of practice we've had now. I've rambled on a long time. I'll be glad to try to answer any questions that any of you have. I floored them.
Okay. Tell the Dave Casey story, Dutch.
Oh, yeah. Some of you may have noticed that on occasion I'm a little hard of hearing. Dave Casey is also hard of hearing, and Dave is a plaintiff's lawyer primarily. So he's had cases against me over the years. We had one where didn't amount to very much. I had authority from the company to settle for $5,500. So I like to negotiate, and I know Dave likes to negotiate. So I called up Dave on the phone and I said, Dave, I've got authority from the company for $4,500, and that's all I'm going to pay. He said, Dutch, goddammit, I won't take a nickel less than $3,500. And I said, you've got it. and we settled for $3,500. After we did, I told him about it. You know, lawyers don't like to tell about cases that they've lost, and we've all lost cases. I had a case that involved the yellow cab, and Pacific Auto had the defense of the yellow cab insurance. And I wrote a letter about 8 pages long, strongly pointing out why they shouldn't pay $8,000. That there was an accident, but there was just no proximate cause, and I spelled it out. in book via verse. My very next letter wrote and told them that a jury brought in a verdict of $60,000. So we lost it. Another one that John likes to have me tell, and I got to be careful where I can tell it. But in the old days, we tried to keep minorities off of juries because we figured that the minorities were too generous with insurance companies' money. So I finally had exercised all my preemptories. There was this very attractive black woman, middle-aged, that I had no reason to challenge for cause, and I had exercised all my preemptories. So she remained on the jury. So I thought that the plaintiff's story was a phony. I got up to argue, and I was arguing as vigorously as I could. And my family, father and mother, are both from the South. And I learned the phrase then, and so I said to the jury, somewhere there's a nigger in the woodpile. With this, they're going on the jury. I could have cut my throat. Cut my throat. No. What do you do? I choked and finally looked at her, and I said, I'm sorry, I meant no offense. That's a phrase that I've heard since childhood, and I'm terribly sorry. And that's all I could say, and so she did actually vote for me in the end. But boy, if ever you whole chill run up and down your back.